Hello there my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. So today it's going to be something a little different. I'm going to be reviewing The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And so as you're probably aware, we're probably 8 or 9 episodes in now, so I'm quite significantly behind. But what I'm going to do is start at the beginning and give you a review every day for the next 7 or 8 days and catch completely up. If you're new here, welcome, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And you can follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. And also don't forget to like the video, it's good for the analytics. If I sound a bit bunged up and blocked at the moment, I have terrible hay fever. It's playing havoc with my sinuses, but I'm going to be as clear as I possibly can. So this is The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 10, Episode 1. The crown isn't so heavy. So as we know, that's kind of a play on words, because the Queen, Lisa Vanderpump, is now no longer with this franchise. And so the girls managed to run her out of town by a mixture of bullying and also I guess a fair bit of stubbornness on Lisa's part. And one thing I really want to get into this season is who's pulling all the strings. I think it's either Lisa Rinna or Erika or Kyle. I've yet to put my finger on it, but one of those three is definitely yanking everybody else's chain. So this first episode covers New York Fashion Week. And so the episode begins with Kyle saying this is going to be an epic girls trip. Well, it's going to be an epic something, but I doubt girls trip. It's been quite some time since we can call any of these ladies girls. So they're all off to New York for New York Fashion Week, and Kyle tells us she has a brand new label and she's exhibiting for the first time. And Kyle would tell you the name of her label, but she can't quite remember. And she tells us this is full on pressure, she's only just got this label, and she signed up immediately for New York Fashion Week. She can't believe she's put herself under so much pressure. And it's just as well, because she hasn't. You've actually put the real designer under the pressure, Kyle. And Kyle has basically brought her way into someone else's fashion line, waving a Bravo check, so that she can play Let's Make Believe. All right, Kyle, I'll go along with it, till I get bored. So when Kyle arrives in NY, she looks over all the clothes backstage, as if she's in a store. She's going through the racks and saying, oh, I like this. Oh, this would suit me. It's the first time that Kyle is seeing any of these clothes. I'm fairly sure of it. Then she's looking saying, I'm not sure about these. I don't like these. Kyle, how do you come by these garments? She's ready to tell us. She says, I like nature and I like colour. I take photos of things I like and I send them off to the designers. And then, voila, samples turn up in my mail. And I'm going to give you all a moment to think about this. Would you have the balls to call it your fashion line if you didn't know what was in it? And your contribution to this line was taking photos of butterflies, rainbows, and Erika's knickers, and WhatsApping them to your designer, and then just receiving a sample. So no thought for shape, no thought for different types of material or the flow of the material, really with no thought for the entire design and creative process. Let's look at what creating a line means, Kyle. Let's look that up for a moment, shall we? Kyle, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Well, I guess I do, and I've pretty much said it. You're a fantasist. But hey-ho, she manages to get all her friends to walk in the show, and her daughters, and she also gets Paris Hilton, who we know is her niece, to turn up backstage, and to put it on her Insta. Maybe Kyle isn't aware that nobody's really checking for Paris Hilton anymore. Who knows? And Erika Jayne is also performing in New York City for a fashion show, and she's performing for somebody called V-Files, which is, I don't know, I think up-and-coming designers. Erika informs us it's big until something bigger comes along. So when Kyle finally gets to New York, she realises she hasn't got a clue what she's doing. She's supposed to be styling the models and organising hair and makeup. And so she calls Dorit in a panic and tells her that she's in charge of hair and makeup for the models, but she's got no idea what to do. Dorit says, are all the models having the same hair? I don't know. Have you got photos of your inspiration for the looks that you want for the models? No. Have you got the brains you were born with? And the jury's still out on that one. Dorit then says, what about the other girls? What are the girls, Dorit? Boring Teddi? Lisa Rinna? The ones that know nothing about fashion and have never done a fashion show in their lives. What about the other girls, Dorit? What about them? She draws it out for all it's worth, but in the end, Dorit says, I'll hop in a taxi, I'll get down there and I'll sort it out for you. But not before pointing out how utterly inept Kyle is. And this is definitely a firm friendship, because by way of thanks, Kyle makes several references to Dorit's poor financial standing. So you guys, Dorit has apparently settled the Beverly Beach lawsuit that she had going on, where somebody claimed that she owed them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And she said she's now so glad she can put it behind her. Don't worry, Dorit, it will get one final outing, because the Ebird plans to do a little delve into the whole of this deal and find out who was right and who was wrong. But that's another video for another day. Next up we see Erika. Erika tells us she used to be a stripper. What took this storyline so long? Erika, I can look at you and tell you, you used to be a stripper. And she takes a group of the other girls to the old strip bar she used to strip at. And this bar doesn't look like it's ever seen a Benjamin Franklin. And Abraham Lincoln would be pushing it. But nevertheless, Erika tells us she's proud of her past. So proud it's taken all this time for it to come out. The other girls are being, I will say, slightly judgy, but they're managing to disguise it quite well. And Lisa Rinna says, oh my God, I can't imagine my daughter, who's the same age as you were when you were stripping, Erika, doing this. And Erika said, well, if I had rich parents, I wouldn't have been doing it. Don't judge until you walk in my shoes. And according to Erika, she moved out to New York with big dreams. She started auditioning, but like everybody else, the rent was due. So her friend said, you should come with me. There's this place called a go-go bar. There's also a place called a coffee bar. There's also a place called a restaurant. And there's also a place with computers on the desks called an office. All of these places take applications from people like you, Erika, to work. And she tells us, I didn't know how to type. It's the kind of shit you can learn. It's pressing your finger onto a button. I'm imagining it's less hard than spinning upside down around a pole. I'm just imagining. And I don't mind this whole, I used to be a stripper malarkey. Fine, fair enough, do what you're doing. But don't paint the poor me. If only you walked in my shoes. Erika, we all have. We've all had to go to university and not had any money. Not many of us were born into a life of luxury and riches where our parents could just pay for our every dream and pay for our rent. So that narrative kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. But nevertheless, Erika plays for a couple of dances, speaks to one of her old punters, and then they all do one. And next we meet one of the new girls, Garcelle. She's from Haiti, she tells us. And she's good friends with Denise. They've been friends for about, I think they said 18 or 20 years. And she's an actress, stroke model, stroke, girl about LA. And I have to say, she's rather fabulous. And she lets us know that when she came to LA, she didn't speak any English and she'd never seen white people before. And she said she learned English entirely from Sesame Street. Garcelle, you were 9 when you came over, so are you telling me you didn't go straight to school? I think you learned to speak English from talking to the other kids and the teachers at school. That's where I think you learned it. I don't think that you learned it from Sesame Street. Why do people come out with these ridiculous statements and think that nobody's going to think anything of it? We're going to be all over you when you talk this ish. But more from Gabrielle later. And not before time, we're introduced to the second new girl, Sutton Stratte. Sutton and Lisa Rinna, it seems, go way, way back. They've known each other 20 years as well. And Lisa and Sutton went to Dolce & Gabbana. And apparently, Dolce & Gabbana make clothes especially for Sutton. Haute couture, no less. And this apparently is because Sutton's ex-husband is an extremely wealthy hedge fund guy. She got divorced and now she's got lots of money in her own right. And Sutton tried on some shorts and a sheer pink blouse with a white D&G bra underneath. Lisa Rinna took one look at the ensemble and said, if you're paying that kind of money, I don't care what it looks like, I love it. And the Ebird says, I'm just going to pretend I never saw it. It didn't happen. And that way, I think, is the easiest way to describe this outfit. And in the next scene, Teddi gets a little bit messy and decides to tell Denise Richards some smack that Charlie Sheen's been saying in the press about her, about child support. It wasn't clear from the newspaper what exactly they were talking about, but apparently Charlie wants to go to court so he doesn't have to pay Denise child support any longer, according to Denise. According to Denise, Charlie hasn't paid child support for quite some time. And if I read between the lines here, I think I pretty much know what happened. Denise walked out of the divorce with nothing, according to her, and I believe that actually. And I think Charlie was absolutely fine to pay her quite healthy child support for the two girls. And then she got married to Aaron. And I think Charlie decided, what? I'm not paying for another man to live in the house. Forget about it. That's what I think happened. I have no idea. I haven't even looked into it. But one of these days, I think I will. Erika tried to force Denise to hire her octogenarian lawyer husband, but Denise declined. And Denise tells us she knows Charlie and she knows how to handle him. Kyle tells us she's in Halloween the remake and she reminds us again that she can act. We know. We've watched the last 10 seasons, Kyle. They all decide to go for dinner and a bitch. Sutton asked Dorit who she's wearing, and Dorit says Fenty, and Sutton said who? Fenty, Who? Rihanna. And Sutton tells us she couldn't care less about celebrities. We couldn't care less about you, Sutton. But we continue. And she says even if God came down to do a collaboration with Tom Ford, she couldn't care less. Oh, Sutton, how little you have to learn. According to Tom Ford, that's one in the same. So they all sit at this dinner, and Teddi says, "Yeah, I blocked it out. It was too boring." "Oh, all right, I'll tell you. She's pregnant." Oh, God. The only thing on God's green earth more tedious than boring Teddi is pregnant boring Teddi. Oh, bravo. Save us from ourselves. Save us from this crushing bore. Fire her mid-season. She can go when Denise goes. And I think the Ebird's going to create a GoFundMe to pay for Teddi's Get Lost fee. Out of every person in every season, I don't think there's been a more boring character than Teddi. Even Cynthia from Atlanta gives us more than Teddi. Anyway, back to her pregnancy. Sutton tells us, "I'm glad it's not me." Okay, Sutton, so are your grandkids. They're glad it's not you too. And next up, the fashion show. In the taxi on the way to the fashion show, Tracy, who's organising the fashion show, has told a third party to tell Kyle not to go anywhere near her. If she goes anywhere near her, she'll bail, she'll be gone, she'll go mad. Kyle can't understand it, and she wonders why has Tracy said this. And the Ebird can help with this issue. Kyle, number 1, you ask questions such as, what are these clothes? When they are clothes in your so-called collection. Number 2, you say things like, I don't really know if I like this. I don't want to put this in the show. Ignoring the fact that it's someone else's creativity that is being showcased. Number 3, your name is on the brand, yet you had nothing to do with it. Number 4, you hang around with all of your friends, getting in the way, and just generally acting as an irritant. And number 5, you're a joke. That's why Tracy doesn't want you around. So the fashion show begins and everybody's walking, all of the girls except for the 2 new girls. And also Carl's daughters are walking in the show. But boring Teddi is walking. Just before she gets on the runway, she asks Dorit to teach her how to walk. Teddi, if you haven't learned to walk in 38 years, what makes you think you can learn to walk in the next 38 seconds? And just as I imagined, Teddi trudged down the runway like a child wearing shoes that were too big for her. Guys, it really was funny. I watched it 3 times and it just gets funnier each and every time. I think it's partly the look of concentration on her face, but then the fact that she still isn't walking properly, she's still trudging down the runway. And that's the end of this episode. So what do we make from all of this? We make from it that Kyle is utterly delusional. Okay, money can make your dreams come true, we all know this. And when we look at Erika Jayne has put herself on stage, but she works hard. You always see her serving those looks with her team. She's singing, she's dancing, she's working every gig she can get. She's actually working hard, I think, to be the Erika Jayne that she wants to be. Kyle, you didn't really do anything, and suddenly you want to tap your heels 3 times, piss off to New York, and pretend you've got a fashion line. It doesn't work that way, sweet pea. What do we make of the new girls? Gabriella thinks she's going to be a normal girl. Somehow I don't think she's going to add an awful lot to the narrative. Maybe she will, who knows? Sutton, I think, is going to be a Southern Belle uber bitch. I'm kind of here for it because we do need some juice outside of this whole who's wearing the crown scenario. Also, I think it's a massive shame that Camille's no longer part of the cast. I loved her taking off her mask at the end of last season and showing us the Camille that we always knew she was, the same Camille we saw back in season 1. You remember that Camille? Evil Camille. And I really wanted for her to be here again, but it's not the case. And I think that is going to be to the detriment of Denise. These girls always need a fall guy. Every season there's someone they're going to pick on or someone they're going to try and call out or be bitchy to or whatever. And now I think they've just decided arbitrarily that it's Denise. And at the end of this episode we see Denise has stopped shooting with the group. And we all know this is down to rumours between her and Brandi Glanville. But we'll talk about that in later episodes. So I really want to work out who is the power player in this group. There's been a seismic shift in the power makeup of the group for the last 2 seasons. And obviously we saw that led to the demise of Lisa Vanderpump last season. And I want to know, is it Erika, is it Kyle, or is it Lisa Rinna who is now wearing the crown? I'm yet to decide, and I'm going to every week assess people's power within this actual dynamic and try and work out who is pulling the strings. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and give you a review every day for the next week or so till we catch up. And I also like to do specials, so I look at people's body language, and I also do a deep focus on any arguments or any big issues which come up, and I usually do that separately from my actual review. So make sure that you press that red subscribe button and make Ebird a very happy Ebird. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Thank you for letting me get all that off my chest. Ciao for now.